You could make them like spread tomato paste all over their face and then smudge their face into like a monkey's butt.
Hi, I'm Andy,
And I'm Roger,
and welcome to The Middle,
where we try to have thoughtful conversations
about awkward topics.
on our search to find the middle.
That's fatphobic.
I don't feel war. I just own halfway to Siwa.
A few moments ago, Buckingham Palace announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
I act as if God exists.
Put your masks on.
How dare you! You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words.
Did you ever play video games growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I think that actually video games has been a really important part of my life, like my early life.
Do you identify as a gamer?
Not at all. So that kind of died off. But definitely in the early part of my life, I think it was a huge influence to me. I had this friend who was really into computers and into IT, and he exposed me to like old school computing games, like the role play games and stuff of like the really, really first generation of them. And I was fascinated. Straight away when we visited his house, he was a family friend, I would like run up to his room and bug him to show me stuff on the computer. And he turned out to be a developer, and he was developing games. And it kind of was a launch pad into my real interest in, all things tech and like science and stuff. It was fascinating. What about you, Andy? Do you have like a bit of a gaming history?
No, well, I definitely played video games when I was younger. Like I remember getting this like Super Nintendo, or back in the day when you used to be able to rent from like the video store, like the consoles, and like so you could rent the consoles overnight with like some games or whatever. I remember that being like the sleepover kind of thing you did with your friends or whatever. And like the old like Street Fighters and stuff like that, it's like perfect for that because it's just like tournaments or whatever. When we finally got one of those video game consoles, it was I think we had some earlier ones like Sega Master System or whatever it was called, and some other ones like that. So we had those earlier ones, but I think the one that I probably used the most was like the Super Nintendo. That was like the first proper like time that I got into it. I just remember like Donkey Kong Country, like that was like the best game. And then they had like Donkey Kong Country like 1, 2, and 3. And they're pretty like fun games, and not like addictive in the way that some games like, some of these like role playing games or whatever can be, but still like fun and just, kind of easy to play.
You raise a good point though, because I think in my mind it's separated from early PC gaming, which could be quite out there and quite crude, to consoles. And I think that was like a very different experience, right? Like as a kid, I mean, we had a Sega Master System, but then there was this huge break, and while everyone was getting PlayStations and other things like that, we never really had that in our house, right? And then I think it's like we had a bird that died when I was in high school, and then almost as a like pick me up, my mum and dad let us buy a Nintendo 64, and then that was our next console, and the Nintendo 64 was awesome.
Yeah,
it
GoldenEye,
had like,
right?
Oh, doom 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 doom.
Yeah, GoldenEye was just like that was a cultural sort of touch piece.
Mario Kart, Tony Hawk, GoldenEye to me are like Super Nintendo 64.
I didn't have Mario Kart, but like I still definitely GoldenEye, but like I never really got into games, right? Probably if anything, like I really liked Super Nintendo and all that sort of stuff was cool when I was younger. But then by the time I think like Nintendo 64 came out and that kind of generation, and we're talking like what 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, I guess, late 90s probably more so. I actually started getting a bit disinterested in games, and like maybe as like other kids were getting more entrenched, like doubling down, like I was almost like tapping out. I didn't have the attention span for it or something.
Me too. Like I think when it started going back to PCs, because I don't know, I kind of at that time associated like real gaming culture with like LAN parties and the early days of kind of online gaming or kind of connected gaming and playing those style of things, right? Like I never transitioned to that. Like I had friends who would literally go to like premises where they had like LAN connected computers and pay to like go in and play these kind of connected games.
So if you're someone into LAN parties, right, along the spectrum of being like cool and being like a nerd or a geek or whatever, where would you place someone like
Well,
that?
see, this is the thing, right? Like, is that there is a subculture. So to answer that plainly, I would say it's a very nerdy thing, right? It was a nerdy thing at that time, but there was this place. I had some friends who were like kind of into the kind of, I don't know, like almost gang scene, right? Asian gang scene. And there were internet cafes that catered exclusively for this. And you went in there and there were like people smoking and drinking. And it was almost like this weird dragon's den of a club, but with LAN parties connected to it. And it was like a real culture. So I think that was an anomaly, but that did surprise me at the time when I was exposed to that there's actually a different side of that as well. In the same way, like a karaoke bar is often very innocuous, but also can be a bit of a den for gangsters at certain times of the night.
All right, so let's fast forward 20 years, 25 years. Are any of your kids like involved in gaming or computer games?
So my kids are a little bit younger. So my eldest is 7 and very close to their cousins and my sister's kids. And they've just only now started getting into the Nintendo Wii and Nintendo Switch, those kind of modern movement style games, like literally in the last year. Before that, they really did want to play games on the iPad and touchscreen tablets and things like that. But no, they didn't have any kind of gaming experience or stuff as well. Not for lack of trying, but they just didn't have access and they didn't really have the skills to do it.
And how about like YouTubers that are kind of gaming adjacent? So maybe they're not actually recording a video about computer games, but they're people that might have, I don't know, like 40% of their videos are computer game related, and then the other 60% is just like commenting on cat videos or something.
No, so they haven't had that much exposure to that, and I think it's mainly an age thing. You know, she's turned 7.
All right, so a few interesting observations. So I've got a boy. He's 10. He'll be turning 11 this year, and there's a couple of things that really stand out to me. Like, I guess the first is just how kind of that whole culture of gaming's changed a bit now, like at school and all of that. It's almost like a cool thing to play games or whatever. That's what I can tell. And then also you've got like all these YouTubers. He doesn't watch like free to air or, you know, like a little bit of Netflix and stuff like that, but like predominantly YouTube. And then so like the YouTube like channels that he gets fed up and so it's like partially like the algorithm working, but it's also, you know, kind of what he gravitates to. And then also like there's this real subculture of like these gamers who are, you know, not the like the stereotypical gamers when we're talking about LAN parties from like the late 90s or whatever that you'd think of, but they're actually like quite successful. There's this kind of cutting edge to them. It's like they're like the new rock stars of the younger generation, right? Like I don't know if any of your kids have like played Minecraft, but that definitely seems to be like the gateway drug. Like Minecraft is the Michael Jackson of this generation. I think Michael Jackson was like kids' first sort of foray into music.
So we're going to find out that this hugely successful platform, you know, 20 years later has abused all these
secretly abusing kids. Yeah, come into my dungeon.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that. So you're trying to say, Andy, that you believe that gaming as a subculture in terms of its image has really changed now. You believe, like I think a nerdy kind of tech pursuit to something a little bit more kind of cool.
Yeah, I think so. And I think just to get back to Minecraft, right? Like I feel like that's like the perfect piece of marketing because it's like something that like kids love playing Minecraft, but they've configured the game so that it's hard for parents to say, no, you can't play Minecraft because it's got like these coding elements to it. It's got this like design thing. It's creative. It's like Lego. It's got so many educational elements to it. They even play it in schools and stuff. So it's like the perfect piece of marketing to like say, hey, here's a game that you not only should allow your kids to play, but that you should encourage your kids to play. But like then there's games like Fortnite, which then really like go for the other angle, right? So they like amplify the social piece, right? Where it's like play with your friends, like at school. And, you know, it's this social thing that like if you're not part of like the group of kids playing Fortnite, you're like out of the social like network at school.
That sounds kind of a tough thing to navigate though, right? Like especially how addictive games can be, right? And how it can trap people in a bit of fantasy and a bit of escape.
So to ask you like a boomer question, how much do you think it costs to buy Fortnite as a game? Like if you want to like pay to use Fortnite?
Yeah. Okay. Well, number one, I have no idea.
Take
like
your
what
best
kind of
guess.
model of whether it's ongoing or not. But I imagine if it's like one of these like GTA premium games that maybe it costs like, I don't know, $79, and then there might be like in-game purchases or something like that. Is that anywhere close?
No, way off. So Fortnite is free. So you don't pay a cent to play Fortnite. You can download it for free on all platforms, as far as I'm aware. And the model is basically it takes over the universe and then it starts to bleed you dry.
Through what, in-game purchases?
Yes. So it's definitely like a freemium model. So to give you an example, like we were just cleaning up and we found like a Christmas card that we actually missed some money, and there was like something like $50. I'm like, oh, here you go. We missed this $50 of yours, and his first like reaction was, oh great, I can get $50 worth of V-Bucks, and V-Bucks like you use to buy skins or various different features in the game. So I don't know why this stuff's valued or whatever, but yeah, just like $50 worth of V-Bucks for Fortnite.
It's, I kind of get it, right? It's just like a status thing, right? It's the ability to collect and show some kind of prowess online. And I think that's what skins kind of are, right?
I do want to talk about the YouTube, because the way I see it happening, it's equal parts addicted to YouTube, and then like that then translates into the games, right? So like usually what happens is like 50-50, like plays too many games for too long and then has a break by watching YouTube and then watches like but interestingly, like my son doesn't tend to watch videos of other people playing games, right? He doesn't do that. Or he doesn't watch like streaming.
Doesn't do that yet.
They'll talk about games for a little bit. So it's like this subculture, right? But then they will do that. Oh, we're going to do like the commenting videos. And then there's like all these like memes they talk about, you know, like the Karen meme, for example, is like Karen's in the wild, and back to back sort of videos of like stereotypical Karens, right? So my son got back from like a school camp where he went down to Canberra, and
Classic educational trip.
And he had a presentation from Tanya Plibersek. And so like Tanya Plibersek's giving the class like a presentation, and then I like the school sent a photo, so like I knew that this had happened. I showed him a photo and he said, oh yeah, the Karen.
Oh no, the haircut. Ruined it for everyone. There's not many styles you can have for short hair. Leave her alone. So what do you think, Andy, though? But going back to, I'm still kind of interested in that kind of culture change from when we were kids. And I think we're kind of, obviously we're getting caught up on the age thing here, because I think they still say the average age of the gamer is still quite old, right? It's like closer to 50 than it is to like a teenager in terms of the average age of gamers. But would you still say it's a very like male dominated pursuit? Like, with your son and stuff like that? Is that still the case?
Well, I don't, probably is more male, but like there's a lot of diversity of games that cater to like lots of different, interests, and like games like Minecraft are fairly like gender neutral, but I suppose teenager, sort of that age, is there a different connotation of like a boy playing these like Fortnite versus a girl playing Fortnite?
Yeah, I think definitely later on it would be very male dominated, right? I can imagine maybe like all kids play games to some extent, but the people who actually make it into adulthood who still are gamers, I think it would still be very male dominated. Like that's a true.
I think it's the games as well, right? Because if you like define like what is it to be a gamer, right? Is it that you've played a game once in the last month for like 10 minutes or more, then you're a gamer, right? If that's the definition, then it probably is a lot closer to 50-50 than you'd think. But then it depends, right? If you're talking about like the shoot 'em up sort of like role-playing gamers like that stay up all night like till 3 a.m. in the morning
doing campaigns for hours and things.
Yeah, like that's probably male dominated, and like the subcultures around that's probably male dominated. But then if you count like Farmville and people playing
Candy Crush
on their phones on the way to work, then that's probably 50-50, I guess. Does
your son play at all with the more virtual reality style, like that emerging kind of platform?
Well, you know what I think we should get him on and find out.
Let's do it.
All right, let me go get him.
Sorry to interrupt the podcast. Andy and I have really enjoyed doing this, and while we don't want your money or anything like that, it's been great to see the number of our listeners grow since we kicked things off last year.
The best way for us to reach more people is word of mouth. So if you'd like to support us, then we'd be really grateful if you could share it to a friend or someone that you think might enjoy the podcast.
We know there's a conversation for everyone, so please pick an episode that you think that they'd like and share away.
That ends our shameless plug, and we'll return you now back to the episode. All right, so Geff, we've brought you in because we wanted to ask you about your experiences with VR, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But why don't you first introduce yourself to our audience? Let us know who you are and what you're about.
I'm Geff. I play games. You better spell my name right. It's not Geff. These two say it like Geff.
Yeah,
It's Geff. You better say it correctly.
That's a little bit of an ongoing joke, isn't it, that we call you Geff instead of Geff?
I play video games.
What's the most recent game that you've been interested in?
Fortnite.
Tell me the story about how you first heard about Fortnite and decided that you wanted to play it.
Well, I just one day I was just watching YouTube and I found a video and it's like a picture of like a Fortnite icon because it only came out in 2017. So I was just looking around and then I tapped on the video and then I suddenly learned of the new game.
Nice. And what do you like about Fortnite, Geff?
It's just like the shooting. It's like a mix of everything where it all combines together. You can't really just explain it.
Do you find that it's like a little bit addictive, that you want to play it more and more and more?
Well, no, it's not like that. It's just like it's the opposite way around. You play it, it's like exciting, but after a few weeks or days, it starts to get more boring.
Oh, so have you reached the stage where it's starting to get a little bit more boring?
Well, not really. That usually happens with story-based games.
Tell me about story-based games.
So a story game would be like have missions like GTA, Red Dead, stuff in games like that.
So instead of a story mode, you're kind of battling other real life players. Is that right, in Fortnite?
Yeah.
So I'm still learning about all this stuff, Geff, and one of the things that is really interesting to me is about how people purchase different skins in games, especially Fortnite. And someone was telling me there's this type of skin called the Reaper, which I was really interested in because it's based on one of my favorite characters, John Wick. Do you have a particular favorite skin that you have or that you want in Fortnite?
Well, I have. It's like it's like different versions of skins. I use the Battle Pass, which currently is the Chapter 4 Season 2 Battle Pass, which I still haven't finished it yet. So I can't remember his name. It's like a skeleton but futuristic.
Geff, one of the things that we talked about before we dragged you on was how remember the other day when we found some money and I told you, we found $50. And then what was the first thing you said?
We can buy V-Bucks.
Tell me about that. Why is it that you wanted to buy V-Bucks?
Well, because often people think default skins, aka like people that haven't bought a skin yet, like they usually think they're like bad at the game. So it's like a whole thing going around that's like, oh, I'm gonna kill these defaults. And then some people are like, okay, I'm gonna help these defaults out because everyone attacks these defaults.
Oh, man. So if you don't have a purchased skin, you're kind of like a noob or a beginner, a rookie.
Yeah,
Is that right?
So most people expect you to be one, and most of the time you are, but sometimes there's like really good players that are default skins. Also, we usually like refer to them as sweats.
Is that why you decided that I should call myself Sweatmaster69?
No.
Why? Well, tell me about Sweatmaster69. Why was that the name that you decided that I should be called?
I don't know, I just came up with it. And also, it's not Sweatmaster69, it's Sweatmaster6996.
Oh, so everyone could stalk me now on Fortnite.
That's a good handle. Or did you call him Sweatmaster because your dad sweats a lot when he eats?
No, I just thought of it.
And what about the number? How did you come up with the number?
Well, it's just like a super old meme.
A super old meme?
Yeah.
Why is it so funny?
It was just like 69, ha ha ha. It's the same way, upside down and flip and straight up.
It is a funny number, funny looking number.
So I'm really interested in like the marketing of Fortnite, right? So how they try and sell things and get money, right? Because I asked Roger a question before saying, hey, did you know it's free, right? It's free to play Fortnite, but you can buy stuff in it, right? So one of the interesting things they have is like collabs. Can you maybe tell the audience about Fortnite and collabs?
So sometimes Fortnite decides to like say like, oh, hi Marvel, do you want to collab for this chapter or season? So Fortnite and Marvel have like collabed like I think 3 chapters or 2. I can't remember, but they definitely collabed in in chapter 2.
What about Kid Leroy?
Yeah, so they also like collab with famous singers and rappers, and also like Star Wars they collabed with. So they just like collab with random things, kind of.
Oh, so this is to make skins that look like them, or are there objects in the game that are other things?
Yeah, so they also make skins. So there's such a thing called item shop. It's like where you can get your skins and different emotes and pickaxes and stuff. So when there's a collab, the actual game changes too. So there's going to be like some new, like, I don't know, boss that you have to defeat or enemies, and you can get weapons from them. Or they just add like new weapons or spots or like locations inside the game.
I want to maybe like change games for a minute, right? Because maybe one of the earliest games that you got really skillful at was Minecraft, right? Tell our listeners a little bit of your journey playing Minecraft, how it started and how you became good at it, what kind of skills, what kind of things you can do in Minecraft now.
Well, it was Christmas and I got a new console and I started playing Minecraft on it because it came with it. It came out in 2009 and 11 somehow. Like they add different updates that bring different things. So when Minecraft was first made, all there was just like a grass block. Well, like all the blocks were just grass, sponges, wool, flowers, cobblestone, water, and there's some more blocks. So there
Sounds like the Australian economy.
So there was only like 26 blocks. And then when the years went by, now there's like 3,000 blocks. Also, sometimes there's like a mob vote where you can vote for what mob you want to come in the game. Usually it's rigged where people choose like the worst mob ever. So if there was like a duck, a shark, and like a fly, they would choose for the fly. And in the Wild update, they were gonna add fireflies, but then like everyone was like, these are so dumb. It's only like 2 pixels, and they weren't only 2 pixels. It was just like one black pixel and one yellow pixel. Then they got rid of it, and then people were just like, no, why did they get rid of it? So they were sad of it being removed, but they were like making fun of it when I was in the game.
Do you have the headset on and talk to teammates while you're playing things like Fortnite and other games like that?
So I don't play multiplayer because it's kind of a new thing. My friends are always offline and my microphone, it's like always broken on my headset. So I can't really like talk with anyone.
Oh, okay.
Now, one of the things I was quite surprised is that you can play Minecraft at school. So can you tell me like a little bit about maybe some of the other cool things you can do in Minecraft, and then like Java coding or whatever, and Redstone and all that kind of stuff you can do in Minecraft, and what kind of things you can do at school, and why they let you play video games at school? Because I remember growing up when I was your age, there was no way we were allowed to play video games at school.
So there's like 4 different versions of Minecraft. There's Java, Bedrock, Pocket Edition, and Education Edition, which is like Bedrock Edition, except it has like underwater bombs, like glow sticks, balloons. It has all those. So we played Education Edition at school. So we had to build like a house. And we were supposed to explain why it's like environmentally friendly, but it ended up just like turning into let's play Minecraft and kill the Ender Dragon. We can still play it, except we can't really do it as a subject anymore. It's because before we did it as a subject for geography, but now it's just like if you get free time, you can use the iPad and play Minecraft.
Wow. iPads. I mean, Geff, your dad and I, when we were back in school, we didn't have Minecraft, but we had something called Logo or Turtle. Do you know what that is? Logo programming?
No.
So basically, you just have a blank screen and there's a turtle on the screen, and you have a command prompt where you can code different actions for the turtle to do. So you can say, go forward 50 spaces, and it would leave behind like a little trail. So basically, you could program it to draw certain shapes, make animations, things like that. And I don't remember whether you remember this, Andy, but that was our first foray into programming.
I do remember that. Geff, you do coding as well. Maybe tell us, that's a nice segue into some of the things you do in coding.
So also at my school, there's like after school activities, and one of them is called coding, where there's like a coding thing called Scratch, and it's more complicated than whatever you use. So I used to learn that. It's like as easy as like stacking blocks, and it did use blocks to write code. But now I use Java, which I have no idea how to use because I only started using it. So that's kind of the only programming languages I know.
And Geff, I'm really interested to reflect at like the age gap, right? So you're obviously younger than us. When we were growing up, we had television, and television had like 3 channels on it, maybe 4 or 5, I can't remember. But anyway, and we didn't have any recording devices. We couldn't watch on demand. So you switch the TV on and you just watch whatever's on, whether it's Antiques Roadshow, Sesame Street, Play School, Home and Away, whatever's on, the news, like it's just what is on and you have to watch it. That's very different to how you watch things nowadays. If you were our age and you had to watch TV like that, how do you think you would survive? And maybe tell us a little bit about how it is for kids these days.
Well, it would just be super boring because you can't watch what you want to watch. Because usually, like nowadays, you just go like, it's like instead of I can only watch this, now it's like, what should I watch? There's too many options. So before it's like, I guess I'm watching this. And then now it's just like, what should I watch?
So what do you tend to watch?
YouTube. I don't really watch Netflix that much, and Disney, maybe some other things, so I usually just use YouTube.
And what kind of videos on YouTube do you usually watch?
Well, it's just like a mix of things, like if it's tips for gaming, or it's just like memes or stuff like that.
Tell me about memes. What's a meme?
Well, it's like some sort of like picture or voice that's like spread across the whole world knows about from one thing.
What's the funniest meme you've ever seen?
So it's like, I can't say this, but
Now I'm
it's
worried.
like it's like the Teletubbies sleeping, and they're saying like good night, but the subtitles, I can't say them.
Why can't you say them?
I'll have to like type it out or something.
Are they rude?
Yeah.
All the best jokes are rude, don't worry. When you are watching videos from YouTube, Geff, you know how the next one gets loaded for you. Do you ever have something that's loaded for you that you're just like, what is this? I don't want to watch this, and wonder why it was given to you next? Have you had that experience?
Yeah, so I'm just like watching my things, and then there's this like random video of this 5-year-old girl cooking a raspberry pie out of Play-Doh. After I watched like someone being impaled by like a knife or something.
Maybe the knife was the link, spreading the raspberries.
Hang on. You were watching videos of. This is why YouTube's just
You told me you were across this, Andy.
No, I wasn't watching it, but that's like an example.
Oh,
It goes like from Sonic.
Oh,
That
great
was like
backpedal,
a
Geff.
level of what I was watching,
Okay,
and then
so-
it just goes to like this 3-year-old video.
So just to be clear, you weren't watching someone being impaled by a knife.
No,
No, that was Dad's account.
We're going to Los Angeles, right? And what is Los Angeles in the video game world?
GTA. That's
Okay.
like the only thing it can translate to.
Okay, so you weren't allowed to play GTA, isn't that right? Well, weren't allowed.
Well, you got it on my console.
Yeah, but that
and
was
then
for
you're
me
like-
to play, not for you.
Yeah, but after all, it was
And I
my
had-
console.
I did have an account that did have a passcode on it. You want to tell everyone about what happened?
So he had a passcode, and then he was like, "Yeah, this is so you can't get on my account."
Yeah, so he can't
it
play
was-
GTA.
It was a 4-digit code, and then I watched him log in, and then I just saw what he was pressing, and I was just like, "That's the passcode. It's square, 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 square."
Password safety and hygiene, Andy. We're going to have to do a course.
I'll need double factor authentication, I think.
Yeah. So an often looked educational element of GTA. So do you know, Geff, now all the locations of LA from the game?
Not yet.
Oh, no, I just said better than Google Maps, I guess.
So, Geff, one of the ground rules when you play GTA, so you're not just allowed to blanket play GTA. There's some rules. What tell the audience some of the things you're not allowed to do in GTA.
Oh, run over people,
So, and what else?
shoot people.
Yeah. So all that he was allowed to do was drive around. And then I watched him one day, and then I saw him accidentally hit someone. Is that right?
Yes.
And then I think you were banned after that.
No.
Yeah. Well, you weren't allowed to play it for a long time.
I have the same rule in my car.
At first, you only let me skydive, but then you let me, do all that.
That's like letting him play Pac-Man, Andy, but saying don't eat the ghosts. That's the best
Dude,
bit.
what game, Geff? What game do you think is the worst game? Because there's different games, right? So Fortnite is very addictive. So it's very cartoonish, but some people say that's bad because it's very addictive. But then you have GTA, which is a little bit violent, quite violent, and maybe very adult themes. And then you have some other games. There's some horror games as well, isn't there, Geff? But they're actually not rated very high. So they're I don't know, the equivalent of PG rating, right? Geff, what do you think is the most the worst for kids? If an adult or a parent was going to stop a kid from playing a certain kind of game, is it best to exclude the horror games, the violent games, or the addictive games?
Well, it would be horror games, but it would depend how scary it is, because I have a game. It's called Little Nightmares, and almost every corner there's always going to be a jump scare.
What's a jump scare?
It's when you're least expecting to be scared, all of a sudden you just something pops up, or something out of nowhere just appears, and then you get scared.
Give us an example. Do one for us now. Ugh.
I didn't sign up for this.
It's those Jacks in the Box. Jack in the Box. You rotate a handle and then a clown pops up when you're least expecting it.
I know those.
I have a bit of a question, actually. I played games when I was a lot younger, and then I've had a break. If I wanted to get back into games, or if you were trying to recommend a friend who had never really played games before, and you had to set them up on, the games that you would recommend to start, and how to have fun and how to build your skills, what would you recommend them, or what would you start them off on?
So probably a slow game like Minecraft. I'd probably say start playing Minecraft and play creative mode, and that'll get you used to the controls. And then once you get more comfortable with the controls, then you can start doing more complicated games and then work your way up.
Yeah, and would you say that there's you refer them to a particular console or play on their PC? What would be the best way?
Most PC games that are only on PC or like made for PC, those have like complicated controls. Console, I would recommend Minecraft for because you can get used to like the controller.
Okay, cool. So start off with Minecraft, do something creative, build up your skills actually using the controller, and then you can move on to more advanced games.
Yeah. So console games are like more easy, like they're less controls, but like I've like some PC games where it's like you have to press like 8 different buttons. Well, not 8, but like you would have to press lots of buttons to like jump, shoot, slide, all that stuff.
Yeah, okay. And talking about controls, Geff, I remember when I first got a Nintendo 64, and it has like a little joystick on it to control, whether it's Mario Kart or something like that. And I remember when I first got it, I was a little bit addicted and I was playing it for hours and hours. And I think I played it for, a 5-hour stretch one night. And I woke up the next morning and like my thumb could hardly move. I had like injured my hand. And I just wanted to ask you, have you ever played a game for so long that you either hurt your hands or your eyes started hurting?
No, and I also play for like usually on Saturdays or when I'm at the beach at my beach house where I have all my consoles and stuff. I usually play for like 8 hours.
Oh, we're winning Parents of the Year.
Very relatable at the beach house.
But you don't play your console for 8 hours. You do a mixture of different things, though, don't you, Geff?
Yeah.
Just to save a bit of self-respect.
Yeah, because the TV that I usually like played, like, or that I used as a screen, like it broke. So now I have to use like my setup and just like cramp everything into it. So I use like my monitor, the computer. I just like have to fit everything into my setup.
So, Geff, I have a couple more questions for you. One relates to, because we've been talking about consoles, is one of the first consoles I really got into as a kid was the Super Nintendo. Now, I know that we've played the Super Nintendo a little bit together. What do you think about the Super Nintendo games and the console compared to the modern games? Are they better?
So it's like weird not having any joysticks and using like a D-pad for moving. So it's like you have to like press right to move right, and like up is like would be to jump. There's not like any like X or B or stuff like that, or spacebar. So it would be kind of like weird to control. And also there's like way less buttons and triggers.
And the games, like we play a bit of Donkey Kong Country. What do you think of that? That's like up there with one of the best games, don't you think?
So when I first played it, it was like, this feels kind of new. But now when I look at it, it's like it looks like you took it out of a trash bin and just like put it back together.
What about there's another game we play sometimes, the Street Fighter.
Yeah, so the controls for that, it's just like you have no idea what the controls are, so I just usually just like press random buttons and hope I do something good. And that's how I usually win. Because if we both did a match of 10 rounds against each other, I would win if we did like 20 rounds against each other, I would win like 28.
Gee, I'm that bad.
Those
am
are
I?
fighting words. I like those odds.
I would win like 18 and he would win like 2.
Generous for the 2. I like it.
I have another question for you around like gaming and is it like cool? Like, so because when we were growing up, like kids that were really into gaming were kind of a little bit geeky or a little bit nerdy. But I think that, I don't know, like, has that changed now, do you think, Geff?
Well, it wouldn't be if you played games, you would be like you would just be normal. If you played on like an iPad or like something like that, that's not like a console or computer, then you would be kind of like you wouldn't really have any consoles or anything, so you just kind of like stuck with that forever. So you wouldn't be as good as a gamer. Also, like, kind of people that don't have games at all, they're living in the year like 1758 or something.
So, Geoff, one thing that I think older people find really hard to understand about gaming culture is the fact that people love to watch YouTubes of gamers playing their games and maybe have, talking over the top while they're playing it when they're streaming and things like that. Can you explain why that is interesting to watch, or do you watch that, or do any of your friends kind of watch other people play their games and explain why you like it?
So I don't actually usually watch people play games. Like, I don't watch streams or stuff like that. But I do like watch people, like, I don't know, play with mods that will like give them a weapon every second, or they would change the game every 10 seconds, or every time they like take damage. Also, there's there's a thing called stream sniping, um and it can get you banned. So you watch a stream, and then if you realize they're in your game, then you would go up to them and then like kill them, like hide
Oh.
and then kill them in front of stream, and then you would like like do a dance or like squat down, and then you would get banned for that.
That is so interesting. So that's kind of like the equivalent of someone running onto the cricket pitch in real life while the television's kind of showing the match. So they kind of get featured on the stream.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about VR, because that's why we originally got you on. So I don't know, like, I find this metaverse thing and like VR a little bit like, I can't imagine why anyone would want to spend time like in the metaverse as opposed to the real universe. Geff, what do you think about the metaverse, and is it something that you think you would be interested in exploring, and how do you think it compares to real life?
So I don't use the metaverse. Most people just play VR because you can like fly around in space, and in real life that would cost you like $1 million, and you would have to like train for that. So you can do like whatever you want at any time at any location. So also, before, we used to like people used to like spend hours playing games, but now it's more like, I'm bored, I'm gonna go play a game, and then it's like, I'm gonna get off, and it's like, this is boring, I would get back on, this is boring, I'm gonna get off. So it's just, that's kind of what it's turned into, but sometimes you can get like into gaming.
Geoff, just while I remember it, and we can come back to VR, sorry. I just wanted to share a bit of a story. Have you heard of cosplay before?
Yes.
Yeah. So for our audiences and those who haven't, cosplay or costume play is where, you get together in conventions and you can dress up like your favorite characters from, your shows and things like that. And I went to a cosplay festival, kind of like a Comic-Con in Sydney, I think maybe 5 years ago. I had no idea what it was. It was actually for a photography challenge. So I went into this place and it was crazy. Like every single cartoon character and, Japanese anime character and games character you can imagine, people were dressed up, and they were all just walking around, taking photos. They were, talks and activities, and everyone just having this giant festival. And so we were there to kind of practice photography. And then later that day, I came back on the bus to go home. And it was such a shock to my system. I was used to all this wonderful world of characters and people dressed up like giant Pikachus and robots and things. And I was on the bus and it was just normal people going home. And I felt to myself, gee, like regular life is just so boring. Like why can't everyone just be in cosplay all the time or have this kind of fantasy and character, and they're having so much fun? So my question to you, Geoff, is have you ever experienced, after playing games or being in virtual reality, that you come back to the real world and you just think, real life is so boring? Have you ever had that?
So no, usually when you play games, there's like, you get bored of the different worlds, or you just like want to stop playing, or you have to stop playing. And then when you come back, it's just like, finally the normal world. Or it's just like It's the normal world. It's the real world. So you don't really get bored of the real world when you
So do you,
play.
so do you think the metaverse is overrated then?
Yeah. So there's some like conspiracies of Zuckerberg looking like an alien without having eyebrows. So
I think that's just how he looks, Geff.
also in the metaverse, he also looks like an alien.
So what are you trying to say, that Mark Zuckerberg is not of this planet?
Yes, he's off this planet.
E.T. phone home.
Geff, before we wrap it up, is there any other interesting topics you think we should cover today?
Just gonna think of something.
Or if you want to ask us a question even.
So, well, when you played games, would have did you have to kind of was there any security so anyone could just use it no matter what?
Yeah, back in the day, it was just like free for all. There was no, because there wasn't really online, like the internet wasn't a thing really until late 90s. So most games, like when I was growing up anyway, most games were just in the home. So we were talking about like this game called GoldenEye, right, which was on the Nintendo 64, and that was like famous for like you get a group of friends and you play shoot 'em up games like GoldenEye together, right? And they have all these worlds you can play. And what they used to do with the TV, they'd split the TV into, well, if it's two people, then in half, and you can play split screen. But even like up to four people on one screen, right? And you could have this like fun sort of party, together, or have some friends over and play together. Now, like all these games, like they don't have split screen or anything. Anyway, that's my rant. What do you think, Geff?
They do actually have split screen. So, well, any multiplayer game usually will have a split screen. So and you would you can always play with 4 players. But it's always going to be less than 4. It can never be over 4.
But don't you usually need some games you can't play split screen, like racing games, like or whatever. Like I don't know, just aren't there some games where they don't have that option at all?
Well, it would be kind of just weird driving around and then accidentally running into your friends and then just beeping, just honking your horn to your friends, and then they just start honking. It would just kind of be chaos.
That sounds like a regular Saturday night for us, Roger, doesn't it?
Too right.
And also, how do you feel? Would you imagine if emails didn't have any security? So there would be no login. It would just be put your email. Okay, you're in. You can easily be hacked. So it's kind of the same for video games. You need that protection. Otherwise, some random guy can just break into your house and just be like, I'm gonna play some Fortnite.
That's the first thing the burglar would do. They'd load up the PlayStation and start playing Fortnite.
Stealing my skins.
And also, it's it would be especially in games where you can purchase things with real money. So if it didn't have it, it wouldn't have that much security. But if it did have that, then it would be obvious to add 10 different layers of security, because anyone can just spend your cash, that if you have any cash in the game, and they can just spend it on anything, and you'll lose money from it.
Yeah. Talking about money, I've got a question for you, Geff. If your dad turned around to you and said, blank check, all the money in the world, you can make the perfect gaming setup. Talk us through what gaming paradise to Geff would look like.
So it would be a massive room lit with this marble table.
Ooh. Uday was saying, I like it.
A mouse pad the size of I don't know, a keyboard. Except square. It would have a massive screen that can curve and uncurve.
Ooh. Panoramic, around you this way.
No, I mean it can go from flat to curved. There's a real thing also. I would also have I don't know what they're called, but it's these hexagon lights, and they can connect to each other, and you can make different shapes that are different colors and light
Yeah,
up.
I think I've seen those. They kind of, you can build them out into different patterns, right?
Yeah. And I would have like a custom mouse, a custom keyboard, a big like PC, and then all my consoles next to that, and then controllers and accessories on my
What
table.
about the chair? Sure, I've heard that the chair is very important.
Oh yeah.
What makes a
Well,
perfect chair?
it's like pillow to rest your head on, armrests. You can make this a back bit like go down. Also, your gaming chair is what makes you good. So if you had like a horrible chair that you found in the bin,
That's where
you'll
my
be
chair
bad.
came from.
Council pickup.
So, well, it's kind of like another meme. It's the gaming chair that makes you good. So that's kind of what a good gaming chair would be.
Very cool. Very cool.
Geff, sometimes you'll come to me and you'll say, I want to do this random thing, right? It'll be some like, what do you want to do? What? But you'll say, I want to build what was that? Leyden, what was that called? That thing that electrocutes you?
Oh, a Leyden jar.
Yeah. So you'll come up to me and say, I want to do this random thing, or I want to make this thing, or I want to do this artwork, or something random, like you want to do something with clay or something. Tell me, like, where do you get these ideas from?
Well, most of the time I'm just like bored, and then I'm just like watching YouTube, and then I'm just like, I have the stuff here, and then also that's how I saw how to make the Leyden jar on YouTube, but for like stuff that I want to do, like, so I came up to you and I said I want to make a sword that would shoot out water.
Yes.
And then when you went to the shop and then bought like pipes and like all these stuff to make, like to connect to the hose, and then it would be like a sword. And after we built it, I figured out it can also be used as a pressure washer. So it was that strong. So there's like a wooden table outside. So then I just started cleaning the whole thing, and then it was way more cleaner than it was like 10 minutes ago.
Awesome.
And I also made this like cannon because one of the problems with the sword was like we drilled like a hole at the end. There was like this cap bit that we drilled like a hole through, and then we put it on the end of the pipe. And then the problem was if the water pressure was too high, then the cap would come off. And then that led to another idea to make this like cannon that when it filled, where you would put a cap on with my holes, and then you would fill it up with water, and then once there's enough water in it, it'll eventually like pop off, and like I can like make it, if I really wanted to, I can make it go over the whole entire house.
It's very creative. So I've got something a little bit freaky to ask the both of you. Okay, so let's fast forward into the future, right, where anything is possible. And now you can play games, but instead of controlling a character on the screen, you can control another person. Would you ever play that game?
I think Geff plays that game every day.
What do you think, Geff? Would you ever play a game where you get to control people in real life?
Yeah, I guess. Well, no. Well, are they like locked up in a cage?
Okay. Clearly, you need more details to make this ethical choice. I like it. What about you, Andy?
Well, I'm just trying to think where the enjoyment comes from. Like, is it just to make them do silly things, or
You could make them like
Paint your
like
house?
spread tomato paste all over their face, and then like smudge their face into like a monkey's butt.
why is that the thing that you came up with that you would get them to do?
It's an example.
I'm in. Geoff, you sound like a very well-balanced young man, and your attitude towards gaming is very balanced and responsible, right? And even when you said that you get tired of games and you want to come back to the real world, that's really good. But I know someone that has a real problem spending all his time on games. So he never gets bored of them. What would be your advice to him to kind of help not be so addicted to his games?
Well, you would have to every day take off 30 minutes, no, 10 minutes of what you play, and then eventually it would get to 30, 20, 10, and then once you get to 10, then you wouldn't play for an entire day.
So slowly just play a little bit less every day until you have much more free time. Is that kind of good advice? I'll have to share that with him.
Well, thank you very much, Geff, for coming in today.
It's Geff. I'm going to come in your room, and you know what's going to happen.
Well, I don't. No. Please tell me.
Because you said my name wrong.
Okay, Geff. Thank you very much.
Wait there. I'm going to come into your room.
No.
Wait there. I'm going to come into your room.
I'm excited now. I need to report a crime.
No. Okay. All right. Thanks, Geff. Thank you.
You better say it right next time.
All right. See you, Geff.
So he doesn't watch Twitch streamers?
No.
Do you feel like you're bonding with him a bit through the games?
Well, we have to